Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every morning by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton somewhere around here. I don't know where he went.
I know he literally just exited right before. I'm scared of what prop he's going to start the morning with, Blake. Yeah. I need to mention it real quick. Dalen Swain, congratulations to you, young man. Number 15 overall pick of last night's NBA draft. The Texas Longhorn leader who helped Texas to the Sweet 16 under Coach Sean Miller in his first season on the 40 acres. Was selected with the 15th overall pick. Big time for him, and happy for him as he moves forward right now. A lot of recruiting news over the weekend as well, Blake, or not over the weekend, yesterday, excuse me. Look, we started. Here he is. What happened, Jerry? We were waiting. Was it a phone call or?
I can't comment on anything. Where are we at with the show?
We just finished talking about Dalen Swain. Do you want to add something on Dalen Swain before we talk about the recruiting move yesterday?
Yeah, look, this completes a year one proof of concept win for Sean Miller, I would say. Look, he started off when you get hired at year one, and it's moving at an unbelievably fast pace. You're trying to build out your staff while also going to the portal, building out a roster. Who do you keep? Blah, blah, blah. But then you get to recruiting. And they won out for Austin Gooseby, who was a McDonald's All-American and 5-star, and then Bo Ogden, top 50 player in the country. Both those guys doing very well in the early summer workouts. I have a story up on ontexasfootball.com about summer workouts coming off on the heels of Swain's being drafted. But then you can make a Sweet 16 run. Then Dalen Swain goes 15th overall. That's a really good proof of concept year. And Texas basketball program under Sean Miller set up really well. Dalen Swain's the guy type of player you love from a development standpoint to have a feather in your cap, because he was right outside the top 100 in the country. He was not a national recruit. You took a guy that was 6'6", 175 out of high school. He ends up being the number 15 pick in 3 years, not 4, 3 years and out. When Sean Miller took the Texas job, he had to make a decision between Swain and Conwell from an NIL perspective at that time. I think a lot of people were like, well, Conwell's the guy, right? Conwell's the guy. Sean Miller went with Dalen Swain. Conwell's a good player, will be drafted tonight, probably in the second round. Dalen Swain makes him look really, really good, like a really, really good developer and evaluator of talent. So I thought that was a huge – congrats to Dalen Swain too, by the way, because going top 15 in the draft, a couple of spots outside the lottery, really big deal for Dalen Swain and his family. And he put his trust in Sean Miller. He followed him from Xavier to Texas. And they got that process done together. Swain turned in a heck of a season. And he helped elevate this Texas program in year one. And now Texas will be a top 10 ranked team preseason next year. We talk about that on this ontexasfootball.com thread I have up this morning. We have our season basketball thread underway, which will continue to update. But next year's NBA draft, I think Texas is starting 5 future NBA draft picks. I don't think they'll all come out next year, but I think Texas is about to load up in the NBA draft for the foreseeable future, in my opinion.
Jerry, let's talk a little recruiting, if you don't mind. We've got a situation where Texas added 2 but lost 1 yesterday. Yeah. Let's talk about the 2 they got and then the reason why they lost the 1. The 2 they added, one of them happened while we were on our air yesterday morning. Tyler Alexander, the young defensive lineman out of South Florida, committed to Texas over Georgia, Notre Dame, Colorado, among others. 6'4.5". You said 315 pounds. Yeah. Big time pickup for Will Muschamp, Kenny Baker, and the guys on the defensive side of the ball, and is one of those guys that we've talked about this before, Jerry. Texas wants to build on the line of scrimmage with those big SEC bodies. Tyler Alexander absolutely fits that role. And then also the second piece of the puzzle happened a little bit later, around 1:30 in the afternoon yesterday. Amarillo Paladuro's Kyron Brown, the wide receiver, as expected, Jerry, selected the Longhorns over Kansas State and others. I wanted to ask you a little bit about this because Hank South had a really good article yesterday, and I know you and I read it, and we really like hearing from a player's high school coach, just about the mentality and ability of their players and why they like them and see the possibility for future success. I found something interesting that the Amarillo Paladuro head coach, Coach Mims, said about Kyron Brown. He said he's a competitor.
Yeah, that's why I drove from Amarillo to Austin for the offer.
Yeah, but it goes beyond that. He said, look, when football's over, it's basketball. When basketball over, it's track. And it's just boom, boom, boom all year long. And he said, if it's competitive, he's elite. And I immediately thought of Jerry's comment of he drove from Amarillo to Austin to get a scholarship offer a month ago.
Yeah.
And here we are a month later, and this guy competed for a scholarship offer and got one, and now he's a Longhorn. I get the sense that this is I get the sense that this is a guy that we're going to circle just from reading that article that Hank wrote and watching him play a little bit. This is a guy we should circle.
I think a couple things with him. Coach Mims, the head coach there, was at Duncanville. He's watched really good players.
Yep.
And he's seen the guys differentiate themselves, all those D1 guys, through competitiveness and want to. Because when you have that many D1 players, there is a difference. And it's pretty easy to see who in the offseason, who puts in the work, who's a little more competitive, who wants it a little bit more. It's really good praise. Just to kind of background on Coach Mims. His son was on the Duncanville State Championship team. So he's seen many D1 guys before. I think he was a D1 guy, in fact. So that's a really good sign for Kyron Brown. I'll tell you the other thing. He's got a little of in him, I think, is DeAndre Moore in that regard. I mean, DeAndre Moore will be a drafted player next year after next season. He's a really good player. Now, he was at St. John Bosco, so he's a nationally recruited player. If Kyron Brown, I think that what Coach Mims is also probably saying without saying it, if Kyron Brown was in Houston or Dallas, he'd have 30 offers, kind of what we've talked about. His commitment ceremony, well thought out. He's a thinker. You can tell. I'm a big fan of Kyron Brown and where he can go. I think he's got a little DeAndre Moore personality to him. DeAndre Moore is one of those guys that came in, did everything asked by the Texas staff. I think Kyron Brown's got a lot of that in him as well. I'm excited about him. I think guys like that are very important for programs. Yes, he's talented, but you need a lot of guys that have, especially in the NIL day and age, that are betting on themselves, that are competitive, that are kind of outside the norm of normal NIL recruitments, that want to be there, that want to wear that uniform, that want to make a statement. And he made a statement coming to Austin to get that offer, working out for Texas. He didn't have to do that. He had a number of offers. He could have gone Northwestern, Kansas State. He canceled Baylor. We shall see. But I think he's going to be a really good player at Texas, impact winning at Texas.
All right. Before we move
on, we still got to mention other stuff.
Oh, yes, we do. Yeah, decommit yesterday.
Yeah, Bobby, did we talk about Cade Hogg before?
No, we did not. I said we were going to talk about those two and then talk about Cade Hogg, the linebacker out of Katy.
So Cade Hogg, linebacker out of Katy now, was at Kingwood, obviously. Decommitted from Texas yesterday. I think it really – somebody say, hey, what's the straight and narrow of it? I think the straight and narrow of it was the Hogg camp, from an NIL perspective, had different ideas than the Texas camp. And they just did not see eye to eye on that. And so Hogg has decommitted and moved on with his recruitment. And I think that's part of it nowadays is, I think they ended up being far apart late in the game, so to speak, because you've been committed a long time. So it was right at the end of that official visit. Did Texas push him out? No, Texas didn't push him out at all. It's just that there's a massive difference in what the Hogg camp thought the NIL should be and what Texas thought the NIL should be. And that's what we talk about, this tiers all the time. And you got to be on the same page. And that one late in the recruitment did not end up being on the same page. And somebody asked in the chat earlier, well, has Hogg got a bunch of other offers since Texas? No, it's just we'll see what happens now. But he has not picked up a lot of offers since committing the Texas national offers. So I think this was just pure and simple. They ended up being far apart from an NIL perspective. It happens.
Somebody's saying it sounds like he was pushed off it. No, that's not the way it was.
No.
They wanted him, and he's a good player. I think that he just thought he was in a higher position, maybe relative. And Jerry says tiering. I say slotting.
Yeah,
it's the same idea.
Yeah.
That's not correct. So we'll talk about that some more here a little bit later today and later in this program as well.
We got a lot more to get to. Got some of y'all's recruiting questions that we'll circle back to as well. But first, Bobby, I need you to tell us about Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm.
I can do that. If you've been injured, a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, and think you might be due compensation, make sure you check out Adam Lowy and his firm, the Lowy Law Firm. They'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation to see if you might be due compensation. Again, that's LowyLawFirm.com. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, and it's now 21 years in Austin. Adam not only sponsors On Texas Football, but he also does some work for the University of Texas and sponsors elements of their athletics program. So thank you, Adam, for your ongoing support not only of OTF, but also Texas athletics.
All right, well, it's Wednesday, which means it's hump day with Hills. A little trench church for you. I'm going to bring him on in. Good morning, Tony. Look at the start.
All right, man, listen, it's new threads, man. I got new threads. Can y'all hear me good? I want to make sure I'm coming through. All right.
Yeah. We can hear you. Look like you're about to get drafted in the second round of the NBA draft, man. You at the draft or what?
No. I'm at a workshop, man. We're working on culture and leadership today. So achieving excellent culture, which is what we build as Longhorns. You know, that's the only thing we build as Longhorns is excellent culture. So I'm learning about that today.
Well, the coat looks nice, that's for sure. I'll give you that. What is that little chain on the right side of your vest on your coat there? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, listen, man, that's the Lion of Judah, man. You know, I always got to have that pin on me, man. I'm gonna represent all the time.
Hey, Tony, Longhorns added 2 commitments yesterday to the recruiting class. Lost 1. The one they lost, and I wanted to bring this up to you because you've been in the NFL. You're familiar with slotting and tiering and, you know, how general managers make decisions. When you're categorically off from your perceived value of yourself and what the team perceives potentially, did you just walk away? Both sides just walk away and say, hey, we tried? What's the thought process there? Because I think being a pro football player, not a lot of college players have this experience, right? It's a new one for them. But from a pro player's perspective, what are you thinking when you hear something like that? A player yesterday decommitted from Texas because Texas and he and his party were just too far off from an NIL perspective.
Team.
I think we're having problems here.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're having problems. We'll have to let that one go. But that's my question to you guys.
Yeah.
And we'll bring back Tony whenever he gets a better connection. But, you know, just thinking about it, young man obviously wanted to be at Texas. Texas obviously wanted him to be at Texas. But the two didn't match.
No.
Essentially.
Well, yeah. And I think it was brought in from the Hog side late too. So I think there's original commitment. And then I think that from everything I heard, it was brought in late here. OV, day after OV. And then it's like, you know, I think they just end up being far apart. And we'll see if they get what they're looking for somewhere else. At the end of the day, they just weren't going to get that with Texas.
All right. Well, didn't get to mention it, but Matt, you got jokes this morning. Didn't get to mention it, but we are 73 days away from kickoff, fellas.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna go ahead and just bring this up real quick as Tony tries to get situated. But man, Sean Rogers, Jonathan Scott, fellas, and then the current number 73 is obviously offensive lineman Brandon Baker. So that's a tough choice between those two, Rogers and Scott.
A couple of those guys made a little bit more than NIL. How long did Sean play in the NFL, Jerry? I mean, seriously.
I think
12, 13 years.
Yeah, I think so. Multiple Pro Bowls. Yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable talent.
I saw Sean Rogers carry the football as a running back in high school.
Yeah.
Why don't you imagine that? 300 pounds running the football.
Yeah. Look, he was an unbelievable athlete, obviously. He always was. Whether he was 265 pounds as a young high school player or near 300 after his senior year, I think at the Texas Cal All-Star game. Unbelievable athlete. I'll always remember the high-low on him that cost him probably being a first-round pick in some of his senior season. Was that NC State that did that? I can't remember who it was. But Sean Rogers, one of I think the most talented and the best D-tackle duo Texas ever had. And I know some of the young people are like, whoa, or in my lifetime, not ever, but in my lifetime. I know that some of the younger people on the channel might be, hold on, there's Sweat and Murphy. Hampton and Rogers were unbelievable. I mean, they were unbelievable. That's the best duo I've seen at Texas in my time. Jonathan Scott, obviously national champion. That was a big recruiting win for Mac Brown at the time as well, because there was some thought, and we interviewed him, Bobby, at an event up in Dallas recently, and he kind of confirmed, he was probably headed to Florida. And Matt came in and won that recruitment. That was a big recruiting win for obviously a big-time left tackle to go on to be, I think, a fourth-round draft pick. Still coaches some now in his retired years up at Plano. But two tremendous football players for Texas down both sides of the ball. And Brandon Baker will be an NFL draft pick as well. So this picture will go 3 for 3.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And right now, Rogers leading the poll with 81% of the vote. So, all right, let's try Tony again. Here we go, Tony.
All right,
Part 2.
I'm hoping this is better. Is it better or worse?
It's better. Did you hear my question, Tony?
I did. Yeah. So what I was liking it to, and then you guys give me the go ahead, because I don't know how the stream is working. But what I was liking it to was as free agent. Like in the free agent space professionally, that's the time where you get to choose what team you want to go to, predicated off of fit or numbers or systems or situations, right? And so sometimes in those aspects of negotiation, things don't go well. One of the most publicized ones was the Michael Parsons Dallas deal, right? He wanted to be the highest paid. Jerry offered him $200 million. Everybody looked at that and said, wow, $200 million. But the way the contract was structured just didn't work. He walks away, he goes to Green Bay. In a situation like this is a similar thing. And it's interesting that they're experiencing this free agent type of aspect in the college game, but it's the same thing. Like at the end of the day, athletes now today in the college space, they have more autonomy, right? And so if you're a high profile guy, you're going to have more options. And as wonderful and as much of the homers as we are as Texas, fans and things of that nature, at the end of the day, the athlete is going to always do what they believe is best for them. But the other aspect of that is, do they truly know what's best for them? Because there's a whole other side of the space of college sport as well as college academia, right? And those two things, I believe, pair. So it's not just about, hey, what does it look like for me on the field? It's about what does it look like for me as it pertains to maturing and becoming a man and network connections and all of these things that I just don't believe these handlers, I'm just going to call them handlers, because you're taking 20% from these guys, you're not an agent. So are not thinking about. And it's unfortunate for the kid, So if I'm somebody that has a situation that I have the ear of this athlete, we're not just going to look at the money. We're going to look at this thing entirely. What do we want life to look like? after sport, right? Of course, when we go to this particular situation, yeah, the money might be a little lower, but you're in the SEC. Yeah, the money might be a little lower, but you strike a starting job, right? And you have more film against this competition that could potentially elevate your draft status. You're going to get coached by the best. There's a proof of concept as it pertains to the positions and the winning of positions at the University of Texas, whether there's Outland trophies or DB awards or Belenta Cups, whatever it is. Doak Walker, we have that proven. We have that proven in the system. And so you got to get these guys to see just beyond the money. And Jerry, you and I have had this conversation. It's kind of hard to do when, the whole family is counting on your paycheck to take care of them. But, that's another story for another day.
Absolutely. Tony, we're getting to that point where the full Texas team has been together now for about 3 weeks working out, right? Lawrence Seymour, all your new additions. As you head into from your days and thinking about this team, headed into late June here and then into early July, what do you see as the most important things for this team right now, headed into the next season?
Continuity and execution. Texas has all the talent in the world, right? At the end of the day, the questions for Texas are only going to be answered when you play the teams that truly matter, right? And what we're really talking about here is Georgia, right? Do we have what it takes to go and handle Georgia the way that they've subsequently handled us over the past few years, right? And it's not in the sense of where we're not competing and the games are not close. Just being able to execute and have that continuity to make that one play that gets us over the top. That, like, all roads go through the Bulldogs for Texas to be the national champions, right? And that's just the reality of what it is. And so when you look at how they've come together and how they've been able to bring in all of this talent, that's great. But that question will it starts one day at a time, right? One way, one play, one day. We get that. But then that moment, they're going to have to understand that, hey, this is the moment. And how are you in that moment? Are you tense? Are you tight? Or are you relaxed with confidence, understanding that we've done everything that we needed to do in the off season? We've done everything that we need to do in the spring training. We've done everything we need to do in training camp. We've waited for this moment. This is our time to shine. Let's go out and make it happen. When you look at the 05 team, one of the things, 04 and 05, actually, one of the things that Texas was known for was being very tight in these pressurized situations. And when Vince got in, he shifted that culture to where we embraced it. We embraced that pressure, right? And we were a fourth quarter team. So where everybody else is freaking out because we're getting road stomped by Oklahoma State, we're over there joking and having a good time because we know what the end result is going to be. Does Texas have that type of mentality, right? And if so, then I believe that the outcome for them this year will be where they want to be towards the end of the year, but they got to go out there and prove it. And that's just the reality. We can talk about it all day, but they got to execute and they got to show and prove. You have all the talent. There's no excuse, barring injury. There's no excuse for Texas not to be hosting that trophy at the end of the year, but it starts today and it starts with the continuous continuity and execution every single day, always getting better.
Tony, we can't bring it. We brought it's 73 days. We can't not bring that up without asking you about some of those guys for sure. All right. Sean Rogers, you know a lot about. Obviously, Jonathan Scott, you learned behind him, a little left tackle. And then Brandon Baker's making that big move from right tackle to right guard. Your thoughts on those 73s?
Man. So when you talk about big baby, right? Big baby Sean Rogers, man, one dominant player, athletic player. Obviously, he played in the league for quite some time. The biggest thing that you saw with him was his athleticism and his dominance in big moments. Like I can remember being in Pittsburgh and being on the other side of that and us needing third down completions and him being the person that's going in there and terrorizing our offensive line and making plays. This guy was just a phenomenal athlete. I think he was actually a running back in high school, so that just kind of goes and shows you, his athleticism. So phenomenal player. I'll go to Brandon Baker next. So when you think about Brandon Baker, I mean, look, his story is still being written. He has a position change, but what a great opportunity for him to show his flexibility and to show his dominance, right? And so if he takes that on, I mean, he's being coached by one of the best, if not the best, offensive line coaches in the country. So he's going to be under the lights every single Saturday, right? So he has an opportunity to write his story and to really etch his mark and his niche at the University of Texas. So he's a TBD, right, to be determined. When you talk about Jonathan Scott, that's more of a personal side for me, because this was the man that, and him and Mr. Ray, those were the men that showed me what it was to be a left tackle at the University of Texas. I mean, of course, I give much kudos to Coach McWhorter, but I spent most of my time with Jonathan Scott, learning the position, learning the technique, learning the mentality, learning hand placement, feet placement, pad level, cutoffs, all the tricks of the trade, and then to be able to win an AFC championship with my brother and go to the Super Bowl. I mean, all of those moments are wonderful moments. But as an athlete, I mean, the guy was just consistent, and this is the reason why he lasted. A lot of teams didn't have a high value on him when he got drafted. He was a 5th-round pick, but he played 8 years in the NFL, and he anchored a lot of teams from Buffalo to Detroit to Pittsburgh. So it just goes to show you that, they don't always get it right. And you can measure a lot of things. You can measure height, you can measure speed, you can measure strength, but you can't measure heart and you can't measure fight. And that's the one thing that I would say about Jonathan Scott, is that he's a fighter.
Hey, Tony, I want to follow up with Brandon Baker real quick, because I know you got to get going, and thanks for joining us. So there's some mock drafts that have Brandon Baker as a guard in the 1st round after next season, or 2nd. Do you think that's totally crazy talk right now? Because, the NFL mock drafts now to actually draft time, it changes by over 50%.
Yeah.
It probably won't at the top in this draft, honestly, as far as the players that much. But do you think that's crazy talk for a guy who hasn't played guard to project him out in an NFL draft right now?
I think it's great for the media, right? At the end of the day, what projections – you want to know the only thing that matters, Jerry? Hearing your name called. That's when you know exactly where you were projected, right? I was projected as a 3rd-round pick. I went in the 4th round, the 130th pick, right? Not mad at it. Had some great turnout because of it, right? So I get it. What you're looking at his potential. You're looking at somebody that was a 5-star recruit. You're looking at somebody from an athletic build, fits the mold. You're looking for somebody that has, that's played 21 games and has a multitude of starts. You're looking at somebody that's playing on a big stage and playing in the best conference in college football. So, yeah, you're going to give the nod to those individuals. But at the end of the day, the reason why I put TBD on Brandon Baker, is for the simple fact that you got to go out and prove it. And you got to go out and prove it every single day, irregardless of where DJ Campbell went in the draft. Here's what I would say about DJ. The dude was a role grader and he was consistent, right? And you knew what you were getting with that individual. You knew he was going to fight. Of course, he had his slip-ups at times. We all do. But when you think about DJ Campbell, the first thing you think about is, man, he'll punch you in the mouth. You want that type of thought process, especially at that position if you're Brandon Baker. And the only way that you get that is you got to go out every Saturday. You got to prove it every Saturday. But before you even get to Saturday, you got to prove it in practice. It has to be in your walk. It has to be in your talk. It has to be in your mentality, right? And if he takes that on, which I believe he will, then it makes sense to say, hey, this guy's going to be one of the top ones. But to TBD, we have to wait and see.
I love the comment there. You are what the draft says you are.
Yeah.
That's your project. Where you go is your projection. Everything before that is just bunk. It's like let you go where you go. Tony, thank you for checking in with us, man. I know you've got to get back to your deal, but we appreciate it as always. Hope you're having a great day, man, and thanks for coming on with us.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, brothers. Hook 'em.
Thanks, Tony.
Take care of yourself. I like that comment.
By the way, what's consistent? Tony shows up every Wednesday, whether he's busy or whether he just got done work. Consistency.
Yeah,
Tony's consistent for the OTF community.
I think it's time to bring back this, too. This is a rare, interesting fact. We're 73 days away from kickoff. It's Brandon Baker's birthday today.
Oh, wow. There you go.
So not only is it 73, we're talking about Brandon Baker because of that, but it's also his birthday. It's also former Longhorn Lamar Houston's birthday, according to Chris Bennett, friend of ours that posts here. But also, guess who else's birthday it is, guys? To the On Texas Football family, CJ Vogel.
He can finally drink.
He's a little older than that. He's a little older than that, but yes, he is the youngin.
Yeah.
So, anyways, happy
birthday, CJ.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to him. All right, guys. Before we move on, Bobby, I need you to tell everyone this morning about one of our newest sponsors. That's Zen AI.
This summer, don't just watch the game, vibecast it. Zen AI is the home of vibecasting, a new way to capture and share real sports conversations. No studio, no fancy gear. Your phone is the whole setup. If you're arguing about who should have taken the last shot or breaking down every play, just hit record, talk it out, and Zen AI turns that convo into a sportscast that you can share as clips, reels, even TikToks with your friends. It can be fun. An AI producer actually works behind the scenes for you, cleaning up your audio, cutting highlights, and helping you tweak edits just by chatting and playing English. Go live while the game is on or record your hot takes after. Bring your own co-host or find another fan in Zen AI's network. This summer, Zen AI is paying new Vibecasters to launch their first sportscast. Humans are the talent. AI is the infrastructure. Zen AI is invite only. Head to zen.ai to join the wait list. That's zen.ai or tap the link in our show notes. Again, zen.ai.
And Jerry, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Hey City Store.
And one of the great places at the start of the hill country there. There are very few restaurants, and what you go to, you immediately know they're just special. Hey City Store is one of those places. It's scratch-made Texas comfort food. They got their famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts. All of it's absolutely delicious. All of it is from scratch. They also have live music 6 nights a week with 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. There are 13 TVs alone in their ice house, which is perfect for game days. And they have brunch served from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Sunday. Sounds like a good place to go watch some World Cup and listen to live music. Hey City Store is also dog-friendly, and they have a tree net for kids. Join the folks at Hey City Store and bring your whole crew. For more information, check out the website at HeyCityStoreTX.com. Hey City Store, it's uniquely Texas. Hey, I was just thinking, while Bobby was doing that read, I was looking at this Athlons magazine. What do y'all think the result of Marcel Reed staring down this receiver was on this pass? Do we think that was an interception, an incompletion, or a tipped completion? Anybody?
Or a sack by Texas.
Yeah.
Or a sack by Texas.
Oh, man. We got
How many times did he get sacked last year?
I don't think a lot.
He was constantly harassed.
Their offensive line was pretty good going against really good pass rushers.
2025, he was sacked 17 times, and 24, he was sacked 14.
How many times against Texas, though, is the question. I can't remember sacks and pressures, but Texas got after him.
Yeah.
I thought.
He was sacked one time.
Okay. That was the one sack right there on the cover, Jerry.
Yep.
We got a couple of super chats that we need to jump over to. Rocky P, I believe, saying the second part of this in jest, but he says, "Can you tell me what the plan is now at linebacker and why it's all Nanson's fault?"
Yeah, no, that's pretty funny. Plan at linebacker. Look, I think with Texas and linebacker, you got to look at two different types of linebackers. You have your overhang edge type of player, that linebacker, Javarius Guerrero. They have a really, really good one in this class. I think the inside guys are the questions going to have to be answered. But I will say this. Rocky Cummings, Texas loves. He was not even being thought of right now. Kosi Okpala is more of an edge player. Has come in, and they now think he can play off ball or be a tremendous pass rusher down the line. So I think there's work to be done. There's no doubt about it. Because with Jarrell Bridges, currently is a situation similar. So, if you look at Jarrell Bridges' recruitment right now, he's committed to Houston. The NIL offer is going to be higher at Houston. Are you going to bet on yourself and go to Texas? Or are you going to go to what's a 2-year higher NIL offer at U of H? So I do think with linebacker recruiting, I know one guy they're going to take a look at senior year. I think the guy's really good. I happened to see him in person in May on my travels. But I think there's work to be done there. Texas kind of made some hay with Rocky Cummings, Bobby, off the coaching change last year. So we'll see where that goes. But there's work to be done at off-ball linebacker. I think Texas has a really, really good one in Garor, who's kind of that overhang kind of slash edge. I think they're really solid there. But I do think there's work to be done on the interior.
Well, we got a special guest this morning, and I'm just going to go ahead and bring him on in. Texas softball head coach Mike White. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I think the proper introduction, Blake, is actually two-time national champion, back-to-back national champion, Mike White.
That doesn't get old.
What's that?
That does not get old.
That does not. Well, I tell you what, we watched. A lot of us watched on TV, and the ladies put it out there for you during the College World Series. Ended up sweeping Texas Tech in the finals after starting off the tournament losing to Tennessee, and then you come back and win all those straight. It's been a 2-year run for you. It's got to be somewhat like nirvana for a head coach because everything's fallen into place for you. What are your feelings right now about all of it in retrospect? You've had a couple of weeks to kind of digest it all.
We lost your audio, Coach. There we go. Got you.
You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually in Hawaii right now. So maybe, it's kind of surreal. We took like a similar path. Like the year before we had some adversity, losing close to being knocked out. And then this time we were on our last game 6 times. So there's a lot of similarities between the 2 years, but obviously a little bit different team. We're able to contribute from throughout the lineup, get some great pitching again from Tegan Cavan. But just like the year before where Mac Morgan was the difference, Zalali Gutierrez was the difference maker for us this year. She really stepped up when we needed her. And you don't get people to make those contributions, it becomes a different story. But we're able to get a lot of people to help out during that run.
You mentioned those close calls that you had and having your back against the wall the entire time, Coach. What was it like? What was it about this team that allowed them to overcome that adversity and fight through and actually win with their backs against the wall?
Yeah, they just tell them that.
We lost your audio again, Coach.
I don't know what's happening. Okay, we've lost him here a little bit, Blake. What do you want to do?
Blake's muted. Everybody's muted.
I was looking at his settings in the background to make sure there was nothing on our end. I tell you what, Coach, if you want to maybe come out and rejoin and we'll bring you back in, I'm so sorry, but we cannot hear you.
Yeah, by the way, if you missed Coach is in Hawaii getting a little R&R post portal and everything that's gone on post national championship. And that is well-deserved because Bobby, a little news. I mean, the coaches are doing their annual retreat the next couple of days, but when you win back-to-back national championships, you get to take your own retreat in Hawaii, I think.
Yes. I think he worked really hard in the portal, had a good pickup. Let's see if we can get him in now. Coach, we got you now?
That better?
Yeah, much better. Hey, so
All
Coach,
right, let's do it.
the question was, you had your backs against the wall so many times this year.
I mean, we really talk about the fact that the game itself doesn't know, so you just got to go out and the fact that we were just going to play one more game than the other team. So, yeah, it may seem like it was a lot, but it was like we tell them it's not what happens, it's what, hey, react to it. And it was just like, hey, it's one more game. We just didn't play very well that first game. We looked at the fact that we're our most dangerous when we do have our backs to the wall. So we welcomed the adversity. We weren't afraid of it. And like I said, the game just didn't know. So we continued to attack and put things together and got on a roll.
Was there a single moment where you said this team's going to win the national championship along the way? Was it the first game against Tech? I mean, was there a seminal moment?
Yeah, the last out. So,
hey, Coach, you've been around. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's kind of funny because the year before, we had that 10-run lead, and as soon as we had the 10 runs, it was 2 outs. People started clamoring around the edge of the dugout, and it's like this is like trying to put the bats away before the game's over. So this year nobody did that. They were just kind of like we were obviously felt really good about the situation, especially with Teagan throwing the way it was, but nothing's guaranteed. I mean, we saw that Tech. I mean, I've never heard of this before. Tech won a game and they were losing 8-0 with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the 7th innings, and they came back and won. So it's like, nothing's guaranteed.
I've got to ask you this about Teagan Kavan, because those last 6 outs she got, I've seen dominant softball pitching. You were, I think, a dominant softball pitching. I think a lot of people. That's as dominant as I've ever seen her. I mean, 5 or 6 strikeouts. The adrenaline just had to be flowing, but she had it under control to keep her at control. I mean, but she looked unhittable those last 5 outs.
Yeah, she was a woman on a mission. She had a sniff of it and wouldn't let it go. And, I told her about her being an assassin, and she was just like, hey, I've got this thing in where I want it right now. I'm not giving it up. And that's about as focused and driven as I've seen her in her career so far.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask you a follow-up on her. When you recruit a prospect, they're really good. Hey, did you know she kind of had the clutch gene? Did you have a feel for that? Because she's a clutch gene player is what she is, an athlete. Did you have a feel that she might have that when you recruited her? Or has she gone beyond even your expectations? Because it happens.
Yeah, I think, I always knew she was going to be really good just because of the tools she had and just the mindset of being really calm and cool, collected in tough moments. But you don't know until those moments happen per se. And she's gone above and above. I mean, I always knew she had that ability. But what's surprising is that she's almost like Greg Maddox in a little bit of ways. She's not going to pitch against the competition the way she could do the whole year. She just has another gear she steps into when you really need it.
It's interesting. Of course, it wasn't just her. Obviously, she was a centerpiece of it. But you mentioned Sidlali Gutierrez. You mentioned there's other people. Caden Henry had the big home run. Katie Stewart, no one wants to pitch to her by the end of the year. You had a bunch of people involved here. How did this team all come together? How did they kind of coalesce? And what did you see happen throughout the year?
Yeah, we talked about the fact that I wanted them to pick out a player that they wanted to play for and don't tell them who that player was, so that you're not thinking about yourself in those moments. You're thinking about, am I letting my other player down, the player that I'm really kind of dedicating my tournament to or my game to this time. And it could change from game to game, but just pick that person that you're going to play for. So you weren't worried about your own personal results and what happened, as we talk about it. So I think that really helped.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you, because we got a couple of questions from the chat. Obviously, people want to know about Issa and who you batted in the portal. But on Katie Stewart, y'all made a significant change in her batting stance and her approach. For the fans that maybe haven't heard about that, can you kind of take us through that process? Because that created a much different player at the plate in terms of power, I believe. Can you kind of take the fans through that process and that decision?
Yeah, so Coach Earlywine was talking about getting her hands higher and setting them a little bit higher to be able to get above that rise ball, because that was kind of like her kryptonite a little bit. People would attack it with the up ball. And so it's like anything else. If you don't make an adjustment, they're going to continue to keep doing what they're doing. So it's either that or struggle. So she made that adjustment, trusted in it, keep working on it, and was able to do that. And also got a little more into her legs, a little bit wider base. And they talk about movement prep and aerial. And we kind of like tried some different things with her, and it ended up sticking and working.
So, Coach, thank you for joining us. But for those that didn't hear, Coach's in Hawaii, so he got up early to join us. So we got to ask this, because this has been brought up a lot. Your thoughts on the 5-for-5 rule because that could greatly impact the number of players on your team and some of your really best ones.
Well, my outlook just got a little bit better for the next couple of years. So, I mean, the 5 I get to keep are pretty good. So, it comes down to, obviously it's going to cost more money, I believe, with scholarships, and how's that going to work? Do you increase the roster size for those couple, just like COVID for a couple of years? There's some details there that I haven't quite figured out, but it does take away the injury one, the medical red shirt, obviously, and those types of things. But we'll wait and see. I mean, obviously, we just react to the rules as they come out. There's not much we can do about it. So obviously, I think we're in a pretty good situation with the players we have getting that extra year.
Not only do you have all those young ladies coming back, or so many of them, hat tip to Reese Atwood, among others that are graduating and now even playing pro softball. But you went to work in the portal a little, right after you got out of the World Series, and you signed, I think, a trio of folks that are pretty darn good, including a couple that are homegrown products, essentially down in Georgetown. Issa Torres, the number 1 overall prospect in the transfer portal, according to industry experts, I guess. And then Samantha Swan, the catcher. Tell us about that as much as you can and how that all came about for you.
Yeah, obviously we were really excited with the trio of players that we signed. I think that Samantha Swan, we saw how well she played against us when she was at Arizona State, and then seeing her go in the portal, and we with Reese Atwood leaving, we do have some great recruits coming in like Stevie South, Mia Clemmer, and some other people that can catch as well, but. To get some of the experience of Sam Swan back behind the plate straight away is just a big boost for us. And, of course, now we get him for 2 years, right? So that's incredible. Issa Torres, man, I'm just so excited to see how she's going to play with Vivi Martinez and Annie Abdullah, who's on the under 18 or under 17 U.S. national team. There's going to be some great competition this fall. It's like I'm really excited for that opportunity. And of course, Sam Lincoln, 6'1", 71 mile an hour left-hander from the other side, complements Tegan Gavan like no other. And so, instead of kind of like, we're really excited about our freshman class coming in. I think they're ranked number 4 in the country. But now that takes the pressure off of them to having to come in and perform straight away. They can really kind of focus on learning our system, competing with the rest of the players. And like I tell the players coming in, it's a competition. It's not going to be given to you.
Hey, Coach, by the way, this is where the portal is so crazy. You literally brought in the softball Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, that's essentially what we're talking about, the National Player of the Year. Kevin Durant, TJ Ford in basketball, the National Player of the Year is transferring to Texas. But what makes her who she is? I mean, I saw she had 2 errors and 54 start in games, Issa. But for those that haven't seen her play, what makes her a National Player of the Year?
Oh, just obviously both sides of the ball. I mean, 2 or 3 errors in a whole season, just incredible. Especially at shortstop position. That's what is that for a fielding average? Like 990 something.
990. Yep.
I mean, that's incredible. To think about that kind of ability at shortstop, and now it comes down to her and Vivi battling for that position, because it's not like you come in and play shortstop. It's like Vivi Martinez is going to have something to say about it. She wants that position too, and whoever we don't have is going to be playing second base probably, and then you got JC Nichols over there that can play short too, and like I said, Annie Abdullah. But it's just incredible to have those kind of talent, and we're just very fortunate. And they're great people. The families, I mean, we interviewed the families as well, and they fit right in. And just incredible families, just so much support, great people. So we're super excited.
I got to say this, Coach. A lot of people in the chat saying congratulations and those things, because a lot of folks are getting tuned into softball for the first time because Texas had so much success. And I remember asking you this preseason. What are the factors you see for why softball is becoming a more popular sport? And you told us at that time, I think the athletes today are getting better than they were. And I think that's kind of what we do see. The athletes today are just fundamentally better, getting better every year. and you're recruiting a lot of them, so that helps Texas fans. It all kind of works on itself.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and then just the knowledge that's being spread out there. I mean, more of our games are on TV, so these young players and young women can watch their idols play. And I've always said, every camp we have, I tell the prospects, pick out a player that you really respect and love and then just copy him. Going back to my days as a pitcher, I was fortunate to be around several unbelievable pitchers, and I just copied them. That's what I did, and just looked at the not just one in particular, but just a number of them, and went out there and just like being as a kid on the field, pretending you're Nolan Ryan or something as a baseball pitcher, for example. In those days, it's like pretend you're Issa Torres as a young girl, or Vivian Martinez, or Reese Atwood, or Katie Stewart, and just we're getting more of these names that are helping promote the game, and they're ambassadors for the sport, and I think that's huge. And then just the notoriety of it, I think the big jump we got, injection for the sport, was the '96 Olympics, where they had the team on the cover of Sports Illustrated. That was a big plus for this sport and this game.
Hey, Coach, last thing I have for you. I got to ask you this. So you're out in Hawaii, you're enjoying yourself. I mean, when you're sitting there on your beach chair, are you still thinking about the lineup for next year, or did you leave all that in Austin for a while?
Well, actually, I was thinking about the coaching changes we've got. So,
you're working in Hawaii.
Well, yeah, that's what drives my family nuts. They said, "Can't you just turn it off?" And I said, "No, not really." So my job is to get up at 6 in the morning, or 4, as it is right now, it's 4 in the morning, and just start doing my work so that I can get on the beach at 10 or 11 and join the family.
I love it. Coach, well, we won't take you much longer. There's some calls for Pat Riley, 3-peat. He made it popular. That's what's going to be up. That's what you're up against next year. We appreciate you joining, and seriously, congratulations.
Awesome.
You and the ladies represented the University of Texas in fine fashion, and congratulations to you individually as well. Great year, and we congratulate you sincerely.
Well, thank you, guys. And obviously, I've had great support behind me. My support staff, Keely McMillan, all the coaches, even though they've moved on, it's just been tremendous and a lot of help and a lot of work. And I'm just fortunate to be the one in the position I am. So thank you.
Hook 'em horns, Coach. Take care of yourself. Have a good time. Get on that beach chair. In Hawaii, I've been a couple times. You have to go put your towel on the beach chair like really early.
The reserve.
He's definitely the guy that's in charge of that for his family. He gets on the beach chair early.
I asked that because there's no way he can sit on that beach chair for 2 straight hours and not think about his lineup or his roster. There's no chance. That's not how coaches are. They just, at some point, if he's there 2 hours on that beach chair, at some point his mind's going to start thinking, okay, how do I put this lineup together? Who do I like where in the batting order? It's a guarantee with coaching.
Let me ask you this. Like, what coach in your lifetime would you think may be able to actually turn it off for a couple hours?
Lane Kiffin.
I don't think Lane Kiffin can. I think Steve Spurrier could.
Spurrier?
Yeah, he could, but not many. That's why they golf, I think.
Yeah.
It's like,
because if you don't concentrate in golf, it's going right and left and out of bounds, and you're replacing Titleist on every tee. No, but you think about that. Golly, I mean, Spurrier, Lane. I think Lane has the ability to turn it off.
Leach.
Oh, Leach for sure.
Yeah. Well, to read books about pirates takes kind of.
Yeah. Leach for sure. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Somebody said Edo.
Edo can do it. Yeah.
Turn it off the season after a national championship.
All right, before we move on this morning, I need to tell everyone about one of our sponsors, that, of course, being Prize Picks. We're in the dog days of summer. It's not only heating up outside, but in the sports world as well. Baseball in full swing. WNBA is rolling, and millions of people are watching the World Cup. There's a lot going on, and Prize Picks adds more fun to it. Now every possession matters, every at-bat matters. You're locked in from start to finish. You're not just watching anymore. You got a little juice in it, and it's easy. You just pick more or less on player stats. You build your lineup, you submit it, and then you're good to go. It takes maybe 60 seconds tops. And you can go across any sport as well. Basketball, baseball, golf, soccer, even esports, MMA, whatever's on, it fits. And what fits today is we're mixing and matching. We got Caitlin Clark to have more than 21.5 points against Phoenix because the last 2 times she's played them, she scored 26.5 on average. And then we're going to jump over to baseball and take A's pitcher Gage Jump to have more than 4.5 strikeouts as he's averaging 5.2 over his last 5. We're trusting our gut. That's exactly what you do. You make your picks, you lock it in, and now every single moment actually means something. Don't forget, Prize Picks available in all 50 states, including right here in Texas. So if you haven't jumped in yet, now's the time. Download the app. Use code HMA. Play $5 in lineups, and they're going to give you $50 in lineups instantly. Again, that's code HMA. 5 gets you 50. It's as simple as that. As always, play smart, play responsibly, play Prize Picks.
Somebody asked, we got a super chat. We're going to get to a few of them. Somebody asked to break down the Ben Javarius Shoemaker recruitment. Okay, so for people that don't know, 2 days ago, he came out and recommitted to Ole Miss, shut down his recruitment. I think about 14 hours later, he decommitted and went to Colorado. And about 16 hours later, he flipped back to Ole Miss. And Texas was in on him. And I think the guy is a really, really, really talented player. And seeing him at the airport in person, I'm even more sold on his frame. I think he's got a chance to be really good. The recruitment has not been really good, Bobby.
No, the recruitment has not been good. He needs to get on the football field and focus there, because I think the swaying back and forth has gotten to him a little bit. But that's natural. I mean, he's a young kid. It's things like that are going to happen. And so I don't know that I've ever seen 3 flips as quickly as that in my career, actually. But I would say this about the more interesting part to me was this. Deion Sanders kind of said, "Oh, come be with us, whatever." And then an Ole Miss assistant last night, after he went back, subtweeted Deion. And so the coaches are getting into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably not the way to go, obviously.
Yeah.
But I actually hurt a little bit when I see kids go through that.
Yeah.
Because they're being pulled different directions by money, by advisors, by a number of different things.
Yeah.
And so when I see a kid reaffirm his commitment one night, then the very next morning flip to another team, and then that afternoon flip back to the old team, his brain's going a million miles a minute and have to deal with some very difficult decisions that most 17-year-olds will never face in their life.
Yeah.
So I actually have, even though you look back on it and it's somewhat humorous, all of it, because you're just like, this is recruiting in today's day and age. I still look at the kid individually and say, man, that's a kid going through it a little bit right now.
And it was I had a college coach text me on the flip to Colorado and say, prediction, will end up back at Ole Miss by signing day. But even the coaches didn't think it was going to be 12 hours.
I don't even know if it was 12 hours, Jerry.
Yeah, I don't even know. But so here's the other thing that flew under the radar, unless you're an Ole Miss fan during that. When I was this is the power of the state of Mississippi in recruiting. When I was at Louisville High to see Mitchell Turner, Ole Miss was not top 4 for him, not top 3. It was Bama, LSU, Texas. But that is a state, we talk about Louisiana, there's probably more pressure on a top in-state player in Louisiana than any other state. Bobby, Mississippi's probably second. Alabama might have pushed the second in the Saban era, but the state of Mississippi, there's so much that comes at these guys in the state. I mean, look, we've talked about the Chris Jones recruitment before. I went to see him at Houston County, Mississippi, and he was committed to Mississippi State. And they didn't even want me there because they knew I was going to publicize the kid. They didn't want Nick Saban rolling into Houston County to steal him from Mississippi State. I'm pretty sure Alabama tried, and pretty sure the state troopers told him to go back home. But it's different in that state. Louisiana, Mississippi, Bobby, there's more pressure on those kids. and they're more late recruitments. But Mitchell Turner commits to Ole Miss yesterday at the same time, and that wasn't publicized as much. Now, Texas, I've been saying he was going to stay closer to home. That's where that was going to trend after his visit. So it was Alabama or Ole Miss. Alabama thought they were the leader for a long time in that race.
For Mitchell Turner. Let's actually segue this into a discussion about Texas, because whether people realize it or not, Tyler Alexander's recruitment, the young man that committed to Texas yesterday, was somewhat impacting this discussion with Benjarvius Shoemaker, because once Alexander committed to Texas, Colorado changed its NIL offer to Shoemaker, and it is believed that that is what precipitated his commitment to Colorado at that time.
Yeah.
So when Alexander went off the board, Colorado thought they were involved. Georgia and Florida were also involved, as well as Notre Dame for the one that Texas got. They immediately went to Shoemaker, I think, with a larger NIL package, and that's what precipitated his quick movement. And then by the end of the day, he's back at Ole Miss where he wanted to be anyways. So,
Yep.
And interesting how it all intertwines.
We got some super chats that we need to get to. This one from Killa 1021 says, been wanting to ask Jerry this. What's the word with Brewster? Assuming it's a long shot, but it seems like his official visit went well 2 weeks ago.
I think the official visit went well. I think there's a lot with that recruitment. I don't think there's much confidence in Austin on that recruitment. I think, and I'll maintain this, I think Jalen Brewster probably prefers to play in the SEC. But I don't think that's going to happen as of right now. That's about what I can say on that.
It's a long shot, but it's also a long season. Let's see how it plays out.
And then we got one here from Freelance Society. Thoughts on the World Cup? I like hardcore football folks' perspective on football. Cool that Messi broke the scoring record in Dallas. Does that put him with Ali, Pele, Ruth, Jordan, and Brady as the greatest sports figures ever?
Man, they make more money too.
They get franchises out of it.
I mean, that's the life. I'm not a big soccer guy. I mean, honestly, there's just not enough scoring for me, and there's only some. If I wanted to watch teams not score, I just put on replay Texas Tech and A&M's college football playoff games. But I appreciate the talent in soccer. There's some all-time greats in soccer right now. I think the young kid in Spain coming up is going to be one of those. It looks like, just watching him. His vision is like unbelievable. It's like watching TJ Ford on a basketball court. But I have a lot of respect for the fans around the world, how much they love soccer. And I also, my biggest takeaway from the World Cup actually is not soccer, Bobby, Blake, and chat. When bar owners in Boston say they're out of beer, that's like when you're taken aback. Like, that's one of the go have fun drinking places in Boston. I mean, my favorite show of all time is Cheers, right? But when those people are saying we're running out of beer,
A lot of beer drinking.
that's a lot of beer drinking.
That's so true.
I mean, it's hard to run out of beer if you're in Boston at these bars, and somehow World Cup fans made it happen. They all deserve the World Cup for that, a beer cup.
All right. And we got one other super chat from Joshy Manning. He says, Coach White, I prepared the adoption papers for you to formally adopt Tech Glasgow as their daddy. That's not very nice. They're
like
good friends. So I couldn't read that to him on the air because they're good friends.
I like that. That's pretty funny.
As long as it's in the World Series, I'm fine with sending through those papers. I'll just I know they may be good friends, but I'm okay with signing off on that.
Mike White clearly didn't give a crap about the Save Texas Tech Sports Act.
Yeah. All right. I tell you what, Bobby, why don't you tell everyone about Adam Lowy one last time?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've been injured, a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, there's only one place to call. That's Adam Lowy at the Lowy Law Firm. Been in business now for 21 years in the Austin area, helping injured Texans. Adam Lowy at the Lowy Law Firm. They'll give you a free consultation to see if you might be due compensation if you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind. Again, that is Lowy Law Firm and Adam Lowy. Thank you for your sponsorship of On Texas Football.
All right, guys, and I thought we could close the little 5 for 5 talk because we really haven't got to address it here. And I pulled this from the NCAA's official site. But yeah.
So we know how that impacts softball. Coach White said, Tegan Cavan, Katie Stewart, Caden Henry. Number of players are going to be eligible to have 2 more seasons, not 1. Football, CJ Vogel wrote an article. We've talked about it briefly, Bobby. With football in Texas, not likely. Rasheem Biles. These are guys that are going into their 4th year as seniors. Okay, 4th year playing. Will get a 5th year under this current rule. So essentially, we can stop talking about red shirts. We have to rename it. Are we just talking about year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5 with these guys? Because there's no more red shirt. So a Coleman Elkins coming in to Texas basketball. The plan was to redshirt him like they did with Luis Obiora last year. Redshirt developed like John Clark. Well, that's no longer. You have 5 years to play. So you could, if you have a couple of injuries and you're redshirting, like for instance, John Clark was redshirting for Texas basketball this year. They didn't want to pull the red shirt off his developmental year late in the year when Lucina Traore had his issue and would end up being removed. So now you don't have to worry about that. That's one part of this. You can go play John Clark and it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt his eligibility. For future years. And Sean Miller talked about in an interview with us. But then you get into, Bobby, the guys who are on the Texas football team or softball team, which just talked about, baseball team, who now have 2 years left instead of thinking they had 1. Rasheem Biles, but he'll go to the NFL. Bo Masco. There's a few guys on this Texas football team. How can that impact how Texas is planning and how they have to look at possible planning now? It's about retention plus, we have more guys that could potentially come back than we were thinking by like 5.
Yeah, and just because you get 5 for 5 doesn't mean the school will necessarily want 5 for 5.
Yeah.
I think that how it will impact, we don't know yet, because certain teams may treat it certain ways. Others may go for that, what I would call a super senior. The idea of having a guy that's his 5th year. So he's actually not a grad transfer even yet. He's just still trying to get his degree. I will say this. I don't think it will affect Texas with this current roster. And I'm talking football specifically, obviously not softball, but football specifically. I don't think it will affect the 2027 roster for Texas. Unless they're going to the portal to bring someone in.
That opens up another thing in the portal.
Right. I don't think Texas is going to have this like drive of guys that are trying to complete all 5 years. And Texas is not, that aren't just normal, what would have been redshirt 5th years, right? I do think it opens up another category, because then that 5th year guy, if he's a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick in the NFL and the NIL is bigger in college, he's got a really different decision now.
Yep.
Because he's walking into another starting spot that may be twice his pay in the NFL, 3 times his pay in college.
Yep.
And so my thought process is the 5 for 5 opens up that decision point for a 3rd, 4th, 5th round type guy in college sports. Not that wasn't already there before the 5 for 5, but if you were a 4th year player and used all your years, you didn't have the 5th year. Now that guy has a chance to do a little something different. It'll be interesting to see how Brandon Harris, Steve Sarkisian, and that staff attack that opportunity. But I don't see anything at all. I don't really see Rasheem Biles, for example, coming back. It opens up the possibility, but my intuition says that's not going to be the impact this has on Texas football per se. It'll be through the portal.
Great point made here. R.S. Louis, 5 for 5 will impact special teams, kickers, and punters. That is 1,000% true for me because not many guys get drafted. And if you have a good one, Bobby, and he can get that extra year from him, I think that is a great point. If you're a high school kicker punter, you now have a tougher path because these kickers and these punters, Mason Shipley 1 more year. I mean, think about that. There's going to be a trickle down for young punters and kickers coming up. They're really going to have to work their way up. I think that impacts teams. That could be a big potential impact. We'll have to look around and see which teams have the 4-year guys right now that are kicker punters. They're going into their 4th year. And if you have really good ones, like what Oklahoma has a punter and kicker back that are both first team all SEC preseason, those guys get that. If they have 1 extra year tacked on, that's a massive difference in the teams.
As long as they're willing to pay them.
Yep.
The thing that I would say there, like Shipley, it wouldn't have mattered because he used up his 5th year.
Yeah. I'm talking about a guy who got an extra year. Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If they would have gotten an extra year, that makes sense. But Boomeister and Shipley were in their 5th year, I believe, already. But to Jerry's point, that it could happen. It's not. I see that could be the way of the future, but it already is happening at Texas. Like when you talk about 5th years, I mean, last year the kicker and punter were both transfers. This year the kicker and punter are both transfers.
No,
I think it's already happening. Maybe just with 4th years instead of 5th years.
All right, y'all. That's going to do it for this episode of Coffee and Football presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. We want to thank Adam along with Hayes City Store, Zen AI, and Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Thank you to Tony Hills and Coach White for joining us. Bobby, what do you have for everyone later?
We got State of the Program coming up in about an hour. Rod and Hank are going to sit down with me this week. We're going to talk about where Texas is at on some recruiting situations. Jerry and CJ are headed out to head eastward to go catch a camp that we'll talk about a little bit more tomorrow and tonight. Also, there's a commitment coming up. Can you push those decision dates, graphic real quick before we leave, just so everybody understands?
You want me to read through this real quick, Bobby?
Go for it.
So Dylan McGee tonight at 7. We don't think that's going to be Texas. In fact, I don't think he's talked to Texas in the last 24 hours. More than likely a Penn State over SMU. I think the commitment of John Meredith impacted that recruitment. Neiman Lawrence is Thursday, the 25th, 2028 quarterback. One of the top quarterback prospects, top 5 in the country. We believe Texas is in good position there. June 26th, Junior Tupou. We believe Texas is in a good position there over Alabama. We wait to see when he announces or who he announces for, because he did take visits past Texas. Montre Jackson on the 27th. Jason Johnson moved his to the 29th from the 28th. Brandon Sherrard July 1st. But today, Dylan McGee, corner DeSoto. We think that one's trended away, and that one's more Penn State, SMU, barring something major happening here in the last few hours.
Well, don't forget, right now we are running a very limited time promo over at ontexasfootball.com. You can get 3 months for just $3. Remember, we can't be on here all the time, so head on over to ontexasfootball.com. Sign up for new subscribers only. Get those first 3 months for $3. Bobby said the other day that this won't be happening much longer, so take advantage while you can, and that way you can get all the way into football season with that.
End of this month is when it ends. So get on board. We had a spirited discussion. The message board's hopping right now, Jerry Hamilton. I don't know if you noticed that. It's hopping pretty big.
Yes.
Well, we hope you all have an outstanding day today. Of course, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Welcome, Horns.